The door didn't open. It detonated. Metal slapped tile, the little bell ripped clean off its chain and skittered across the floor. Wind and rain punched into the gas station like it was trying to drown the fluorescent light. Then the girl came with it. She slipped on the wet tile, barefoot hair plastered to her face, a t-shirt stuck to her thin shoulders. Water rolled off her in sheets, but it wasn't the rain that made her shake. Her eyes were wrong for a kid, wide, glassy, hunted. "Please," she gasped. Her voice sounded sandpapered and small. "He's coming." The station froze. 4 men at the rickety plastic tables by the window stopped mid-whatever. 4 leather cuts, 4 faces carved up by sun miles and regret. The kind of men parents pulled their kids away from at rest stops. Rusty's hand hovered over a chipped mug of coffee. Diesel's cigarette burned itself down, ash hanging on out of habit. Rafe's thumb twisted the radio knob until the country song strangled itself. Cole was already standing. He didn't think about it. 1 second he was leaning on cheap vinyl, the next he was in the middle of the floor, boots squeaking on the rain. "Back here," he said, voice low. The girl looked at him like people looked at headlights on bad nights. Then she moved. She scrambled behind the counter, small bare feet, slipping hands grabbing at air, disappearing between crates of motor oil and boxes of candy only truckers bought. The door wheezed shut behind the wind. For half a beat it felt like they'd imagined it. Then thunder split the sky so hard the windows shivered in their frames. Headlights swung across the parking lot, harsh and deliberate. They didn't glide by on the highway. They turned in slow like a spotlight choosing a stage. Cole stepped closer to the glass. The truck rolled up with the lazy confidence of someone who'd never had to knock. It stopped too close to the pump's engine, grumbling lights flooding the front of the station. Rusty, Cole said without looking back. "You see that plate?" Rusty leaned just enough to peek. "I see mud," he answered. "Lots of it." The headlights cut out. The parking lot became a flat, black mirror, rain scribbling across it. The sound that followed wasn't thunder. It was gravel. Crunch. Slow. Heavy. Boots. Cole's palm brushed the grip of the pistol at his hip. Not a grab, just a reminder. He felt Diesel stand up behind him, chair, legs scraping. Rafe killed the radio completely. Even the cooler hum felt too loud. Rusty muttered under his breath, eyes on the girl's shadow beneath the counter. "You expecting company?" Mercer. Cole shook his head once. "Not this kind." The handle turned. The door opened with a tired chime that no longer had a bell to carry it. He stepped in like he owned the air. No hurry, no slamming, just a man filling a doorway in wet denim and a button-down that clung to his shoulders. Water dripped from his hair, ran in neat lines down a face that would pass anywhere clean, forgettable, the kind you didn't remember until it was too late. His eyes swept the room one slow pass. He saw the wolves. He saw the empty coffee pots. He did not look at the counter. "Evening," he said. Nobody answered. The rain whispered against the windows. Somewhere in the back, the old clock above the cooler ticked a single, loud, lonely second. Cole broke the silence. "You lost," the man smiled. It moved his mouth, not his eyes. "No. I'm looking for my daughter." Rusty snorted soft. "She got a name." The man tilted his head like he was studying them, filing them. "She ran off," he said. "Happens when she skips her meds." From behind the counter came a sound too soft to be words. A slight scrape, a breath held wrong. Rafe's hand slid to the knife at his belt. "Kid looked more scared than sick," he said. The man's gaze sharpened. "She tell you that Cole didn't blink?" He didn't move. The girl's earlier whisper replayed in his head. Times. He's coming. Asterisk. Thunder rolled again. The man smiled wider, showing teeth this time. The smile was empty. Look, he said. I don't want trouble. I just need to take her home. She gets confused sometimes. Cole let the words hang a heartbeat. Then you won't mind waiting until the sheriff gets here, he said quietly. Let him sort it. A muscle jumped in the man's jaw. It was small, but it was there. That won't be necessary, he said. Diesel shifted his weight, leather creaking. Yeah, he answered. It will. For the first time, the man's eyes flicked toward the counter. Just a glance. Just enough. She's here, isn't she? He asked. Cole took one step forward. It was slow, casual, but it put his body directly between the man and the girl's hiding spot. You should leave, Cole said. The smile snapped in half. You don't understand, the man said, voice cooling. She's mine. Behind the counter, the girl whimpered. Barely a sound. Enough to turn all four bikers' faces a shade colder. Lightning flashed white across the glass. For a split second, the world became an X-ray. Cole saw everything that mattered in one frame. The man's weight settled on his back foot. His right shoulder dipped a fraction. The wet fabric of his coat pulled wrong at his side, catching on something hard and angular that didn't belong to bone. Metal. His own heartbeat slowed. The noise of the storm dimmed. Outside, 3 engines turned over at once. Their bikes roared awake, sound punching through the walls, rattling the shelves. Headlights flared to life, cutting through the rain and blasting across the lot. The glass vibrated in its frame. The man's eyes twitched toward the window just for a second. Diesel walked to the door and flicked his dead cigarette into a puddle. It hit with a hiss. You picked the wrong station, friend, he said. Outside, the engines revved higher, not moving, just waiting. A wall of chrome and noise and intent. The man looked from the door to Cole to the counter. The calm slipped at the edges. For the first time since he stepped in, he looked like a man who didn't completely own the room. His right hand twitched toward his side. Cole's voice cut through the engine noise, quiet but solid. Try it. The man moved. And the sound that followed wasn't thunder. The roar outside didn't stop, it settled. Like the engines were choosing their rhythm, a heartbeat of chrome and oil waiting for a signal. Inside, the wolves held their ground without speaking. The man didn't draw. Not fully. His fingers brushed the metal under his coat, then froze mid-reach, caught between instinct and calculation. The headlights outside burned through the rain, white and unwavering. Cole didn't look away from him. Back up. The man's lips twitched. You don't know what you're doing. But he stepped back. One slow heel scrape on wet tile. Diesel shifted, blocking the door. Rusty braced himself against the rack of wiper fluid. Rafe circled, left silent as a man who's seen too many nights like this. The man held up both hands, palms out. The false surrender of someone who still believed he had the upper hand. All right, he said softly. Nobody's got to get hurt. Cole nodded once. Start by telling me your name. The man didn't blink. Raymond Halt. Rafe's jaw tightened. He'd expected something uglier. Cole's voice stayed even, and the girl Raymond smiled like it amused him. You saw her, terrified. That's what happens when she doesn't take her meds. She gets paranoid. Thinks I'm trying to hurt her. Rafe caught movement, a shadow behind the counter. The girl's tiny knees tucked to her chest. Her lips moved. A whisper. He's lying. He gave Cole the smallest shake of his head. Cole stepped closer to Raymond. Funny, he said quietly. You sound calm for a man chasing a sick child through a storm. Raymond's eyes narrowed. You've got no idea what's at stake. Cole tilted his head. Try me. Something shifted in Raymond's expression, not fear, not guilt. Recognition. You, he said softly. Mercer. Diesel's brows shot up. Rusty muttered a curse. Raymond stepped forward, hands still raised. You don't remember me, do you, last year? Grant County. Bonfire, missing kid, whole town whispering your name. Sheriff said you walked away clean. Cole didn't move. Didn't speak. The rain felt louder. Rafe muttered, Hell. Raymond chuckled. Guess that's what you do. Show up where things break, pretend you fix them, then vanish before someone counts the pieces. Diesel took half a step forward. You should stop talking. Cole stayed still. Grant County, he said quietly. That what this is? Raymond's smile sharpened. This is me cleaning up your mess. Lightning cracked across the glass, turning the room bone white for a heartbeat. And in that flash, Cole saw it, the cold certainty in Raymond's eyes. Not rage, not desperation. Purpose. Rafe moved to the counter, whispering to the girl. Hey, you with me? She shook her head, trembling so hard he could feel it from inches away. He'll find me, she whispered. Rafe touched her shoulder gently. Not tonight. Raymond watched them, the smile gone, now jaw flexing tight. You don't know what she is, he said. Cole stepped into his line of sight. What is she? Raymond hesitated, but just for a breath. She's not just some kid, he said. He cut himself off. Not by choice, by instinct. Cole saw it. Everyone saw it. Rusty muttered, real interesting time to lose your words. Raymond's eyes flicked toward the back exit. You're making a mistake. All of you. Then help me understand, Cole pressed. Who are you, cop cleaner? Something worse. Raymond's response was a flat whisper. I'm the one who stops problems from growing legs. The girl whimpered at the phrasing. Rafe stiffened. Cole looked at her, then back at Raymond. You sound less afraid of her, Cole said. More afraid of what she remembers. A long second stretched. Raymond's face cracked, not fear but fury held behind his teeth. You think you're saviors, he hissed. Road knights biking around pretending you matter, you don't. You're noise. Diesel leaned close enough for Raymond to feel his breath. Noise can break bones, Raymond swallowed. Cole's voice came quiet. Too quiet. You'll answer one question. Then you leave. Raymond didn't blink. Ask. What did you do to her mother? Rafe's hand tightened around the shelves. Rusty stopped breathing. Diesel clenched his jaw. The man's expression didn't change. Not at first. Then something flickered. A shadow of pride or cruelty, maybe both. I made sure she wouldn't interfere, he said. The words hit the room like a dropped blade. The girl behind the counter curled inward, shaking. Rafe's throat worked once before he spoke. You hear yourself? He asked softly. Raymond didn't care enough to answer. A low growl rumbled outside engines, revving steady patient. Rusty glanced toward the door. We're wasting time. He's not alone. Raymond's smile returned. Thin, empty, mocking. No, he said. I never am. Cole stepped closer, voice low enough that the rain almost drowned it. You walk out now. You walk alone. Raymond's smile vanished. You don't get it, he growled. You've already started something you can't finish. Maybe Cole said. But tonight, we're the wall between her and whatever you call home. Raymond stared at them, breathing harder now. You think this ends here? Cole didn't answer. Because in that moment headlights flickered outside, three new beams cutting through the rain. Rafe swore under his breath. They're circling back. Raymond's shoulders relaxed in a way that made every man in the room tighten. "Now you understand," he whispered. Diesel cocked his shotgun with deliberate calm. Rusty moved toward the lights. Rafe shielded the girl. Cole stood in the center, unmoving. Thunder rolled again, deep and rolling like something waking up in the dark. Cole's voice barely rose above the rain. "Then we end it here." Raymond smiled. And outside, the world went black. The lights didn't just go out, they were times taken asterisk. A clean surgical blackout. No flicker. No warning. 1 second the world existed. The next, the station was a sealed box in a storm. For a heartbeat, nobody breathed. Then a soft scrape metal on gravel rolled across the dark outside. Diesel whispered, "They're positioning." Rafe steadied his stance beside the counter, shielding the girl. Rusty moved to the left window, staying low. Cole stood dead center, eyes adjusting to the dark body wired tight. Raymond smiled in the blackness. "You hear that?" he asked softly. "That's competence, something you boys haven't smelled in years." Diesel raised his shotgun. "You talk too much." Raymond didn't flinch. "Not nearly as much as you think." Another sound. A tap. Glass tested with a knuckle or weapon butt, just enough to measure thickness. Rusty hissed, "They're mapping sight lines." Cole spoke low. "Calm. Back window first. They'll come where we're blind." Rafe's voice came from the shadows. "Already moving." The next lightning flash hit close enough to rattle the cooler. The whole room lit a brutal white and X-ray strobe, and for one perfect second the wolves saw them. Three men outside. Masks. Rifles slung tight, moving in a triangular pattern like they'd done this 1,000 times. Raymond didn't look at them. He watched times, Cole asterisk. "You should have let me walk," he murmured. "Now you're in a story with a bad ending." Cole didn't blink. For who the next crack of thunder swallowed the answer. Rusty crouched under the window. "They've got a canister. Fuel or something viscous." Rafe exhaled sharply. "They're prepping a torch run." Diesel's teeth clenched. "They torch us, they lose the kid." Raymond chuckled. "She's worth more alive. Not valuable." Rafe moved before thought, one hand fisting Raymond's collar, slamming him against the beverage cooler hard enough to knock bottles off the shelf. "What is she worth?" Raymond didn't resist. It made it worse. He smiled with blood on his teeth. "Leverage," he whispered. Cole's voice cut through. "Rafe." Rafe didn't drop him, but he loosened enough for the man to breathe. A new sound rolled across the lot, lower, heavier. Tires crunching slow like a predator settling into its posture. Whoever drove didn't rush, didn't hide. They wanted the wolves to hear it. Rusty muttered, "Bigger engine, van or armored pickup." Cole's jaw tightened. "They're staging a breach." Lightning lit the room again. A fourth silhouette appeared by the propane tanks. Diesel saw it. "Cole. They're planning to vent the whole place." Raymond smiled, wider voice dripping false sympathy. "Exit wounds are cleaner when you don't struggle." The cool steel edge of inevitability slid into the room. The wolves felt it. So did the storm. Cole stepped forward, slow, deliberate. "You sent a squad," he said. "They're trained, efficient, but they're not here for us." Raymond tilted his head. "No, they're here because you told them I'd fold." Cole's voice dropped lower. "You miscalculated." For the first time, Raymond's expression faltered. A tiny shape moved from behind the counter. the girl peeking out eyes reflecting lightning. "We're not alone," she whispered. That single sentence cut deeper than any weapon. Cole dropped into a crouch. "Stay down." She shook her head. "He's not scared of you. He's scared of what I remember." Another lightning flash. One of the masked men raised his rifle. Cole's voice sharpened. Down the window exploded inward with a crack. Safety glass scattered like diamonds. Rusty hit the floor, rolling, firing blind into the storm. Diesel shoved the girl behind the counter and swung the door half open, using it as cover as he returned fire. The wolves moved like muscle memory, efficient, brutal, alive. Raymond ducked behind an aisle, watching with a strange detachment. "They won't stop," he said. "You can kill them all. More come." Cole reloaded with calm precision. "Then they'll have trouble finding the road." Rafe fired 2 shots toward the north wall. One down, Diesel barked back. Barely Rusty slid across the tile on one elbow, firing under a shattered display. Cole rear flank. Cole pivoted, catching a silhouette slipping toward the back door. He fired once, dropped the man. Lightning cracked again, revealing the rest of the squad regrouping outside. Raymond stood slowly. "They'll adapt," he said quietly, "and when they do, you'll see what they're capable of." Cole stepped toward him. "They won't get the kid." Raymond's smile was thin. "They don't want the kid." Rafe froze. Diesel looked up. Rusty swore. Raymond's gaze locked on Cole. "They want times you asterisk." Another explosion of thunder drowned the silence that followed. Then the north wall shook. Diesel yelled. "Breaching charge!" Cole spun, shouting down. The blast tore through the side of the station, shoving heat and shards across the room. The impact knocked shelves over, sent the wolves sprawling, showered them in debris and smoke. Raymond didn't fall. He stepped through the settling dust and whispered, "Now the real work begins." Outside, flashlights fanned across the rain. More men, more boots, a perimeter tightening. The storm didn't care, but the wolves felt the world tilt. Cole rose slowly, blood dripping down his temple. Rafe's voice came through the smoke. "Boss, this is a war." Cole wiped the blood with the back of his hand and steadied himself. "No," he said. "This is a message." Diesel spat. Broken glass. "What message?" Cole stared through the broken window at the advancing silhouettes. "That they think we're outnumbered." He cocked his pistol. "They're wrong." Rain slid off the broken roof in thin silver threads, dripping through smoke and settling over the ruined station like a shroud. The blast had cracked the building, open glass splinters, dust, hanging in the air. But the wolves were still on their feet. Barely. Rafe dragged a shelving unit aside, coughing as he cleared the path. Diesel leaned against what was left of the cooler blood seeping through the wrap at his ribs. Rusty kicked debris away from the counter, jaw clenched tight. Cole didn't look at the damage. He looked at the pattern. Boot prints. Burn marks. The clean arc where the charge had been placed. "They knew the structure," he murmured. Rusty wiped soot from his forehead. "Then they've been here before." Cole shook his head. "Worse. Someone gave them the blueprint." Diesel spat blood onto the tile. "That narrows it down to nobody I like." The girl peeked from under the counter again, her face streaked with dust. She didn't tremble, not the way a child usually would. Her eyes stayed fixed on the destroyed wall, as if she recognized something in the wreckage. Cole crouched beside her. "You hurt?" She shook her head. "No." Her voice was too calm, too steady. Rafe noticed, too. "Kid's shock is made of steel," he muttered. She whispered something then so soft. Cole almost missed it. They didn't come for me. Cole's gaze sharpened. You're sure? She nodded, eyes distant. They're scared of what he told them. About you. Diesel let out a humorless laugh. Great, they're scared of the wrong person. Cole stood wiping dust from his palms. Not wrong, he said, just misled. Raymond, still pinned near the shattered wall with zip ties biting into his wrists, let out a small breathy chuckle. You finally figured it out, he said. You were never the obstacle. He glanced toward the girl. She was the insurance. Rusty stepped toward him, boots crunching on glass. Insurance for what Raymond's smile was thin. To make Mercer behave. Cole didn't move, but the temperature in the room dropped like someone opened a freezer door. Rafe's voice cut in low and sharp. Cole, what's he talking about? Before Cole could answer, another rumble rolled across the highway. Engines, not bikes, not the small trucks from earlier. Something heavier. Multiple somethings. Diesel limped to the window, wiping a clean streak through the grime with his sleeve. Convoy, he whispered. 3. No 4 vehicles. Blacked out windows. No markings. Rusty cursed under his breath. Tell me these are the good guys. Cole didn't blink. There aren't good guys. Raymond lifted his bound hands slightly. Told you. They want him. Not you, not the kid. Rafe's jaw clenched. Why? Cole? Raymond shrugged. Some men are dangerous when they fall. He's dangerous when he stands. The girl crawled out from behind the counter. Is it Ellis? She whispered. Raymond tilted his head. He doesn't come in the rain. He sends people who won't question the order. Cole scanned the darkness outside, listening to the engines idle. He could feel it, calculated timing, rehearsed pressure. This wasn't sloppiness or panic. This was a screen tightening around them. They're forming a perimeter, he said. Diesel nodded, waiting to see if we panic. Rusty spat dust. Well, do we? Cole turned toward the girl. No. She stared at him, searching his face for something he hadn't said yet. What do they want you to do? She asked. Cole's throat tightened for the first time that night. They want me to surrender. The wolves went still. Rafe's voice broke the silence. That's not happening. Raymond laughed softly. He doesn't have to surrender. He just has to walk outside. Diesel's grip tightened on the shotgun, and then Raymond shrugged. Then they put him in a van. Then the van drives away. Then nobody ever hears him again. Rusty's eyes narrowed. What about us? You're collateral, Raymond said simply. Not a priority. They'll clean up whatever's left. Cole didn't react. He just stared at the dark outlines of the vehicles outside as the rain thickened into needles. The girl stepped closer to him, tugging lightly at his jacket. You're not going, she whispered. Cole finally looked at her, and for the first time there was conflict in his eyes, real human, unguarded. They'll kill you, she continued. No, he said. They'll cage me. Rafe swore. Then we break the cage. Diesel shook his head. Not if we're dead before we reach it. Another engine revved. Low, warning. Raymond leaned back against the broken wall. Tick-tock, Mercer. They won't wait forever. Rusty grabbed Raymond by the collar. Then what's the play? Cole didn't answer at first. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small object, black-dented, soot-stained. The lighter. The girl's lighter. Don't run it, Red. Her breath hitched when she saw it. You kept it, she whispered. Cole nodded. Because I knew what it meant. Raymond scoffed. A lighter, this is your strategy. Cole flicked it open. A clean flame burst to life, small, steady, defiant. No, he said. It's a reminder. Diesel frowned. Of what that they didn't trap us, Cole said quietly. We let them gather. Rafe's eyes widened. You're thinking offensive. We're thinking survival, Cole corrected. Their perimeter is tight, but their formation is wrong for extraction. Rusty blinked, meaning Cole's voice dropped calm and final. They're not expecting us to break out the back. Diesel's eyes snapped to the rear wall. The breach. Rafe grinned through blood. We use the hole they made. Raymond stiffened. You won't make it 20 yards. Cole closed the lighter with a sharp click. We only need 10. He looked at the girl. You hold on to me, he said softly. Don't let go. She nodded, tiny hands balling into fists. Outside, the convoy engines revved as if sensing motion. Cole stepped toward the breach, the wolves forming around him, a broken unit, bleeding, limping, but aligned like teeth in a single jaw. Rusty muttered, What do we do when we hit the tree line? Cole didn't look back. We disappear. Rafe grinned. Diesel cracked his knuckles. The girl took a breath so deep it made her shoulders shake. Raymond shouted after them, You're making it worse. Cole paused at the breach and said, Without turning, I'm ending what you started. And then they moved into the smoke, into the rain, into the waiting dark, where enemies thought they were cornered. But wolves don't fear corners. Wolves break them. Rain hammered the trees like 1,000 drumming fists. The wolves slipped into the woods, through the blown-out breach, the darkness swallowing them whole. Branches clawed at clothing, mud sucked at boots, and the ground fell away in uneven slopes. But they moved fast, driven by instinct more than sight. Cole kept the girl close, her small hand gripping the back of his jacket. Rafe covered their flank. Diesel limped a few steps behind, and Rusty scanned the rear with jittery breaths. Behind them, the convoy engines roared. Not panic times, organized asterisk. A sweep pattern. A trap folding inward. Left Rafe hissed. I hear dogs. Cole didn't break stride. Keep moving. Rusty nearly slipped in the mud. They brought canines. Who the hell are these people? Diesel answered without looking back. People who don't care who hears their hunt. The girl tightened her grip on Cole's jacket. They're not dogs, she whispered. Cole glanced down. What are they then? She shook her head, breath quick and shaky. Worse. A crack split the air, sharp metallic. A tracking dart embedded itself in a tree inches from Rusty's ear. Rusty froze. They're shooting tags now. Rafe growled. They want us alive. Cole didn't slow. Except me. Another dart thudded into the ground near Diesel's boot. Rusty spat. Great. They'll follow the heat signatures next. Cole scanned the forest ahead, dense black, shifting with wind and shadows. Then we make noise. He grabbed Rusty's arm and pointed toward a narrow ravine. There. Diesel frowned. The drop's steep. That's why they won't expect it. The ravine was a trench carved by years of rain, jagged and slick. Cole slid down first, boots skidding on shale. Rafe came next, steadying the girl as she followed. Diesel and Rusty brought up the rear, slipping, cursing under their breath. Above them, flashlights cut through the trees like spears of cold white. Voices echoed. Clipped. Professional. Perimeter Alpha contact signs located. Heat signatures 6. Moving southeast. Confirm subject Mercer is present. Rusty muttered. They really want your head on a stick. Cole didn't answer. He listened instead, counting the voices, measuring their spacing, mapping their trajectory by the rhythm of their steps. He stopped suddenly. Rafe whispered, What is it? Cole's eyes narrowed. A second team. They're flanking us. Diesel's breath hitched. How many Cole stared into the dark, listening, calculating, feeling the forest tighten around them. 6 behind us, he whispered. 4 ahead. He exhaled slowly. And 2 waiting on the ridge. Rusty swallowed. They're hurting us. No, Cole said. They're trying to force a surrender point. The girl stepped closer, voice small. If you go back, they'll stop. Diesel shook his head. And leave you with them, not a chance. She looked at Cole. He said your name like he already owned you. Cole's jaw tightened. He doesn't. She studied him, her eyes too old for her age. But you know who he works for. Cole stopped. Even the rain paused for half a heartbeat. Rafe turned eyes sharp. Cole, what's she saying? Cole didn't speak. His silence times was times the answer. Rusty cursed. Oh hell, don't tell me this ties back to a crack, split the woods. Not a dart. A bullet. It hit a tree trunk inches from Cole's head. Move, he ordered. They sprinted through the ravine mud, flying under their boots. Flashlights converged from both sides, sweeping the trench like prison searchlights. Shadows darted between trees, silent, fast, coordinated. Diesel slipped. Rafe grabbed him. Rusty covered them with suppressing fire. Cole scooped the girl into his arms and ran harder. A spotlight beam found them white blinding. Then a voice boomed through a speaker, calm and cold. Mercer. This ends now. Every Wolves member stopped. Not from fear. Recognition. Rusty whispered. No way. They sent Times him. Times Diesel's knuckles whitened around the shotgun. We're screwed. The voice spoke again. Drop your weapons. Step forward alone. Your crew will not be harmed. Rafe barked a laugh. Yeah, and I'm Santa. Cole didn't speak. His eyes were locked on the ridge. Lightning cracked across the sky, and in that flash they saw him. A tall figure silhouetted on the ridge. Armor black waterproof coat. Face hidden. Rifle slung with military precision. Movement coiled like a man trained to erase problems, not arrest them. The girl buried her face into Cole's chest. Rafe whispered, You know him. Cole's breath left him, like he'd been punched. Yeah, he said. Used to. Rusty's eyes widened. You telling me that's Cole? Cut him off. Not now. The voice echoed through the storm. Mercer, if you don't walk out in the next 30 seconds, my men will take the child. Diesel snarled. Over my dead Cole raised a hand. Stop. His voice was low, controlled. We're not playing his clock. Rusty stared. Then what do we do? Cole set the girl down behind a fallen log and whispered, Stay hidden. No matter what. She nodded, trembling. Then Cole turned toward his brothers. We don't outrun them, he said. We outthink them. Rafe cracked his neck, meaning Cole pointed to the ridge, rain streaming off his jaw. They're assuming we'll bolt. Diesel frowned. We're not bolting, Cole shook his head slowly. We're going Times through asterisk. Rusty blinked. Through them, Cole's eyes hardened into something feral. We hit the flank, while their sniper focuses on me. Rafe grinned. Your bait, Cole nodded. Just long enough. Diesel pumped his shotgun. Then we take out the ridge, no, Cole said. We take out the commander. Lightning struck again, illuminating the man on the ridge. And this time Cole whispered his name. Not with fear, with old molten anger. We end him, he said. Tonight. Rain carved silver scars down the slope as Cole stepped out from the cover of the ravine. He moved with intent, not reckless, not rushed, a measured walk that made the forest hold its breath. The voice on the ridge spoke again, smooth and surgical. Mercer. Hands where I can see them. Cole lifted his hands slowly, palms open. Not surrender signal. Behind him, Rafe, Diesel, and Rusty melted into the tree line, splitting into the positions Cole had mapped with a single glance. The girl stayed crouched beneath the fallen log, barely visible in the dark. The man on the ridge waited. He didn't shift his feet, didn't adjust his rifle. He stood the way only elite operators stood, balanced, breathing steady, a human metronome calibrated for violence. Cole stopped halfway up the slope. Lightning flashed, revealing the commander's face beneath the hood. Square jaw, a thin scar crossing his cheek, eyes like polished stone. Rafe whispered from the trees. "Tell me that's not Cole," whispered back without turning his head. "It's Bishop." The name hit like a silent explosion. Bishop, Cole's former unit commander. A ghost with government training and no government leash. The kind of man who made sure problems never resurfaced. Bishop's voice cut through the storm. "You walk any closer and I pull the trigger." Cole didn't stop. He took one more step. Bishop exhaled once through his nose. "Still the same. Stupid courage." Cole answered quietly. "Still the same." Empty threats. A pause. "You think I won't shoot you, Mercer? You would have done it already." That earned the faintest smirk from the ridge. Then Bishop snapped his fingers. From the forest on both sides, 6 beams of light, ignited flashlights mounted on rifles triangulating on Cole with lethal precision. Diesel whispered through the rain, "We're outnumbered 10-1. Rafe responded, "We're not here to win a number, we're here to break one man." Cole kept walking, mud dragging under his boots. Bishop tilted his head. "Stop." Cole didn't. Bishop raised his rifle. The forest tensed like a bowstring. Then the girl's voice pierced the storm, small, shaking, but loud enough. "He's lying." Every rifle light twitched. Bishop froze. Cole felt the moment shift. "She knows what Ellis did," he said evenly. "And she knows what you're doing now." Bishop didn't flinch. "The child is irrelevant." Cole took another step. "Then why are you shaking?" It was small, barely visible, but the commander's left hand gripped the rifle a little too hard. Lightning cracked again, revealing the wet glistening over Bishop's gloves, sweat mixed with rain. "Fear." Rafe whispered. "He's spooked Cole." "Push him." Cole pushed. "You're not here for Ellis," he said. "You're here to keep him clean." Bishop didn't answer. "You're afraid of what she remembers," Cole continued. "Afraid your team will hear the truth. That you covered up the fire. The bodies. Her mother." Bishop's finger twitched on the trigger. Cole stopped an arm's length away, staring up at the man who trained him to survive ambushes, betrayals, and impossible odds. "Look at her," Cole said. "Look at what Ellis did." Bishop didn't look. He didn't dare. The girl's voice came again, fragile but razor sharp. "He told you to burn us." Bishop jolted like she'd stabbed him. Rusty whispered, "Oh hell. She remembers everything." Cole's voice dropped into gravel. "You carried out the order, didn't you?" Bishop's jaw clenched so tight it trembled. "You don't know the situation." Cole stepped closer. "Then tell me." Lightning lit the sky and Bishop finally snapped. "You think I had a choice?" he roared. "He owned half the sheriff's office. He owned the judge. He owned my paycheck. If I disobeyed, they would have buried me right beside that girl's mother." Silence fell like a blow. Even the rifles lowered slightly, the men behind Bishop shifting in disbelief. Diesel whispered, "He admitted it. He actually admitted it." Rusty blinked. In front of his own men, Bishop realized it a second too late. His team looked at him, faces hidden but posture shifting. Doubt forming, control slipping. Cole spoke softly. You burned a woman alive to keep your job. Bishop's voice cracked with something feral. Shut up, Mercer. You hunted a child to cover your tracks. Shut up. You're not a commander, Cole said. You're a weapon Ellis broke and threw away. Thunder rolled. Bishop screamed and fired, but Cole was already moving. He grabbed Bishop's rifle, twisting it downward as the shot scorched mud. With a brutal pivot, he slammed his shoulder into Bishop's chest, sending both men sliding down the slick ridge. They hit the ground hard. Bishop rolled first, swinging. Cole blocked, countered, drove an elbow into Bishop's ribs. Bishop recovered faster than human years of brutality baked into muscle memory. They fought in the mud, in the rain, in the violent rhythm. Only soldiers trained to kill could understand. Bishop landed a punch that rattled Cole's jaw. Cole drove a knee into Bishop's gut. Both men rose at the same time, mud-slick shadows locked in a storm-washed battlefield. Then Bishop drew a knife. Rusty yelled from the trees, Cole behind you. Too late. Bishop slashed, but Cole caught his arm, mid-swing, twisting, with every ounce of strength he had left. Steel clattered to the ground. Cole slammed Bishop against a tree trunk, pinned him with forearm pressure. Bishop gasped, struggling. Mercer, don't. Cole leaned in close. You burned the wrong family. The girl stepped out from the trees, rain streaking down her face, staring at the man who stole everything from her. Bishop froze when he saw her. Not from guilt, from fear. The wolves fanned out behind Cole. Rafe, Diesel, Rusty, weapons raised, hearts decided. No hesitation. Cole tightened his grip. This ends tonight, he said. Bishop looked at the girl again, then at Cole, and finally understood he was done. But he still whispered one last thing, shaking. You have no idea what Ellis is planning. Cole's voice was ice. Then I'll stop him next. Thunder cracked. The chapter ended with Bishop collapsing in the mud, not dead, not free, but broken, and the wolves finally breathing. Rain thinned into a cold mist by the time the wolves dragged Bishop deeper into the forest. The storm hadn't broken, just shifted like the sky was holding its breath for whatever came next. Cole walked ahead, the girl beside him, their shadows long against the bruised blue dusk bleeding through the trees. Rafe pushed Bishop forward with the muzzle of his pistol. Move! Bishop stumbled, wrists, bound mud, streaked across his jaw. He didn't look beaten, his eyes still calculated, angles, exits, the pulse of every man around him. But something inside him had cracked and everyone felt it. Rusty kept glancing over his shoulder. We're exposed out here. They'll regroup. Diesel wiped blood from his mouth. Let them. We've got their commander. No, Cole said without turning. We've got their liability. Ellis doesn't protect loose ends. Bishop's head jerked. You think he'll kill his own strike team? Cole didn't break stride. He'll kill times you times first. The girl walked close enough for her shoulder to brush Cole's arm. He's right, she whispered. Ellis doesn't leave anything behind. Rafe scanned the trees, listening. Then we need cover before he sends the cleanup crew. Cole knew the terrain by instinct. There's an old ranger station 2 miles west, abandoned after a fire. Solid walls, one entrance, good sight lines. Diesel grunted. Perfect place for an ambush. Perfect place, Cole corrected, to prepare for one. They moved. The forest changed as they traveled, denser, quieter. Even the rain softened, replaced by the drip of water from thick branches. The girl walked in silence, her small face set in a look too old for her years. Halfway there, Bishop spoke. You don't understand, Ellis, he said. You think he's just some manipulator with money. He's worse. Cole didn't slow. Keep talking. He doesn't just break people. He converts them, turns them into believers, soldiers, ghosts. Rusty scoffed. Yeah, and what were you? Bishop didn't answer. The girl did. He was scared, she whispered. Bishop flinched like her words pierced bone. Diesel frowned. Of Ellis, no, she murmured. Of disappointing him. Something in that tone made the wolves' blood run cold. They emerged from the tree line as the ranger station came into view, half-collapsed chimney metal roof, bowed inward door hanging off one hinge. Burn scars still clung to the foundation like shadows that refused to leave. Rafe cleared the entrance first, sweeping with the barrel of his pistol. All clear. No tracks. No movement. Cole nodded. Inside, they barricaded the door, with an overturned table wedged between cracked cement. Diesel shoved a metal cabinet against the window. Rusty checked the walls for weak points. Rafe guided Bishop to the center of the room and forced him to his knees. Start talking, Rafe ordered. What's Ellis planning? Bishop wiped rain from his eyes. You think this is about the girl, about me? Ellis doesn't run operations for accidents. Cole crossed his arms. Then what's the objective? Bishop hesitated. The girl spoke quietly. He wants the children. Cole's jaw tightened. Why? Her voice shook. Because he thinks fear creates obedience. Rusty blinked. Obedience to what? Bishop answered. A doctrine. His doctrine. He believes people are born wrong and fear can correct them. Diesel snarled, so he tortures kids. He calls it conditioning. Cole took a slow step forward, anger tightening behind each movement. Where Bishop stared at him, searching his face. You don't want to know. Cole grabbed him by the collar. Where? The girl pulled gently at Cole's sleeve. I can show you. The wolves froze. Rafe crouched beside her. Show us what he Johns. She lifted her hand, small, dirty, trembling, and pointed toward the far wall of the burned-out cabin. It's not just a place, she whispered. It's a map. Cole frowned. A map to what she stepped forward, touching a soot-covered beam. When her fingers brushed the charred surface, Rusty nearly dropped his flashlight. Carved into the wood, deep, deliberate, old, was a symbol. A circle. Inside it, a straight vertical line. Inside that, 3 smaller marks like tally strokes. Bishop cursed under his breath. You weren't supposed to see that. Cole turned slowly. What does it mean? Bishop swallowed. For the first time, genuine fear clouded his face. It's Ellis's mark, he whispered. The one he uses for the children he keeps. The ones he calls the A gunshot tore the air. The window exploded. Rafe dove, dragging the girl down before the second bullet hit the wall behind her. Diesel flipped the table for cover. Rusty slammed his back against the far beam. Cole dropped Bishop and went for his pistol. Bishop screamed, "He found!" U.S. voices echoed through the storm outside, sharp, coordinated, closing fast. Rafe shouted, "Multiple shooters." Diesel answered. "3 angles," Rusty barked. "They're trying to pin us inside." Cole raised his gun, eyes cold. "No," he said. "They're trying to take her." The girl's breath hitched. "He's close." Cole looked at the shattered window. A new silhouette stepped into view beyond the trees. Tall, still, unhurried. Bishop trembled. "That's not a soldier." Cole's voice turned to steel. "No." He lifted his pistol. "That's Ellis." Ellis stood in the rain like he'd been carved from the storm itself, coat untouched by wind, posture too calm for a man surrounded by gunfire. Behind him, shadows shifted, more of his men, emerging from the trees, rifles angled low, not firing yet. They were waiting, because Ellis hadn't spoken. Inside the ranger station, the wolves tightened their formation. Diesel reloaded. Rusty flattened against the wall beside the shattered window. Rafe covered the girl with his whole body, shielding her from the incoming angle. Cole moved slow, deliberate a gravity settling into his steps. Ellis raised one hand, two fingers, almost lazy, silencing every weapon around him. "Cole," he said. The voice slid through the rain like a blade dipped in warm water. "You've made this inconvenient." Cole kept the pistol trained. "You're not taking her." Ellis smiled softly. "I already have her. She's been mine since the night she was born." The girl trembled. Rafe held her closer. Cole stepped forward, gun unwavering. "You killed her mother. You burned their home." Ellis tilted his head, amused. "Sacrifice. Necessary for correction," Rusty muttered under his breath. "This guy talks like a sermon dipped in gasoline." Diesel tightened his grip on the shotgun. "Let me end him." Cole didn't blink. "Ellis, you're done." Ellis ignored the threat and turned his attention slowly to the girl. "Hannah." The wolves froze. The girl shook her head violently. "Don't say my name." Cole's jaw locked. Asterisk. Hannah. Asterisk. They hadn't known. She hadn't told them. Ellis stepped closer to the cabin door, raindrops hissing off his coat. "Hannah, you remember what you were taught. Fear is a gift. Pain is instruction. And obedience." Cole fired. The bullet cracked through the open doorway, shattering bark inches from Ellis's skull. Ellis didn't flinch, didn't blink, didn't even turn his head. His smile widened, not surprised, pleased. "You're faster now," he murmured. "Good. I was worried the world had softened you." Cole stepped through the doorway, debris, eyes flat. "You ruined her life." Ellis's gaze snapped to him, sharp, bright, feral. "I shaped her. I removed her defects. I removed her mother because she resisted correction. And I will remove you because you interfere." Hannah cried out, "You lied. You lied about everything." Ellis's voice softened into something monstrous. "I saved you." Rafe stood, weapon aimed square at Ellis's chest. "Try stepping inside. You won't make it through the threshold." Ellis didn't look at him. He lifted his left hand in a gesture that was almost fatherly, if it weren't hollow as bone. "Hannah, come." Her breath hitched, memory twisting behind her eyes, old conditioning clawing its way upward. Cole saw it, Rafe saw it, Ellis saw it first. Rusty whispered, horrified. He programmed her. Diesel snarled, shifting his sights. "Over my dead body." Ellis exhaled through his nose, calm and patient. "You belong with me, Hannah. You always have." Hannah covered her ears. "Stop. Please stop." Cole stepped between them. "She stays here." Ellis finally met his eyes. "Cole, you were a disappointment to your unit, to your command, and now you're a disappointment to her." Cole's grip tightened. "Say another word." Ellis continued anyway. Voice a low sermon. "You teach her weakness, empathy, attachment. These things get children killed." Cole fired again, but Ellis moved like smoke, the bullet slicing past him into a tree. Rusty cursed. "He's fast," No, Cole said quietly. "He's trained." Ellis raised a hand, and everything changed. His men surged forward, silent, disciplined, coordinated, not shooting, intercepting, forming a moving wall to cut the wolves off from Hannah. Cole shouted positions now. Rafe dragged Hannah behind the overturned cabinet. Diesel opened fire through the doorway. Rusty hurled a broken chair through the window and started shooting through the gap it created. Bishop, still bound, still bleeding, pushed himself upright against the far wall. "Cole," he shouted. "You don't understand. Ellis isn't here for her," Rusty shouted over the gunfire. "Then who the hell?" Bishop stared at the center of the room, at Cole. Ellis spoke from outside, perfectly calm. "Bring him to me." Cole froze. Diesel's eyes widened in horror. "They're targeting you still," Rafe swore. "Then they'll have to walk through us." Ellis's voice floated through the storm. "No, through time's him asterisk." A thud hit the far side of the cabin. Heavy, deliberate. Rusty swung his gun toward the sound. What the? The wall buckled, splintered, then exploded inward as a massive silhouette charged through armor-clad masked, wielding a stun baton glowing electric blue. One of Ellis's augmented enforcers, the kind Bishop had whispered about in fear. Diesel barely dodged the first swing. The baton smashed into the concrete, sending chips flying. Rafe fired 3 shots point blank. The enforcer didn't stop. Cole rushed him, tackling the figure into the wall. The baton crackled, slicing the air inches from Cole's throat. He ducked, deflected, drove his knee into the enforcer's abdomen, then slammed an elbow into the mask. It barely staggered him. Hannah screamed. Ellis's voice echoed coldly from outside. "Bring me Mercer alive." The enforcer grabbed Cole by the throat, lifting him off the ground with inhuman strength. Diesel rammed a broken 2x4 into the enforcer's side. Rusty emptied a full magazine into the armor plating. Rafe pounced from behind, locking both arms around the enforcer's neck. The enforcer still didn't drop Cole. Cole's vision blurred edges, dimming breath crushed. Ellis whispered through the broken doorway, "You belong to me now." Hannah crawled out from behind the cabinet, eyes wide with something new, something burning. "No," she whispered. She grabbed the lighter, the one Cole had given her, flicked it open and drove the flame against the enforcer's exposed wiring beneath the armor plate. A burst of sparks erupted, followed by a metallic shriek. The enforcer spasmed violently. Cole dropped to the ground, gasping for air. Diesel kicked the enforcer backward. Rafe shoved with all his weight. The machine man staggered, burning sparks, scorching his mask before collapsing onto the cabin floor, twitching, disabled. For the first time, Ellis's voice faltered. "Hannah." Cole stood, bruised, bleeding eyes, burning with purpose. He pulled the lighter from Hannah's shaking hands and whispered, "Good girl." Then he looked toward the cabin door, toward Ellis, toward the final reckoning the storm had dragged into their lap. Rafe raised his rifle. Diesel steadied his shotgun. Rusty reloaded. The wolves stood as one. The storm roared, and the chapter ended with Cole whispering, "Ellis, I'm coming for you." Cole stepped into the storm like he'd been waiting for it his entire life. The ranger station burned behind him, small fires clinging to the broken walls, sparks hissing in wet wind. Ellis stood 20 yards ahead, unmoving rain slicking off his suit like the weather didn't dare touch him. His remaining men tightened formation around him, but they didn't fire. They were waiting for an order. Ellis watched Cole approach with something almost like admiration. "You should have died tonight," he said softly. "You keep finding ways to insult mathematics." Cole didn't slow. "You keep finding ways to insult humanity." Behind him, the wolves limped into position, Rafe bleeding from the forearm, Diesel barely standing, Rusty steadying his weapon with a trembling wrist. Hannah stayed inside the doorway, small hands braced against the frame, eyes locked on Cole. Ellis gestured lazily with 2 fingers. His men stepped back. Let him come. Cole stopped 10 feet away, close enough to smell the faint cologne Ellis always favored cedar and cold iron. Close enough to see that Ellis wasn't afraid. Not even now. Your enforcer didn't last long, Cole said. Ellis shrugged. He was a prototype. Cole smirked. So are you. Ellis's smile sharpened. The difference is, I evolve. Lightning cracked across the sky, illuminating Ellis's face. For the first time since this began, Cole saw the exhaustion beneath the arrogance. The years, the cracks forming at the edges of a man who'd built a kingdom on obedience and fear. Ellis whispered, "You taught her to resist me." Cole shook his head. "She learned that on her own. I just reminded her she had a choice. That," Ellis said, "was your mistake." He moved first. Not fast. Deliberate. A single step forward, and 2 of his men charged. Diesel brought his shotgun up firing, once the blast knocking one back. Rusty hit the second with a full magazine before the man collapsed into the mud. Rafe stayed tight on the flank eyes, catching every movement like a predator searching for the next threat. Ellis didn't flinch at their deaths. "Disposable," he murmured. Cole raised his pistol. Ellis didn't bother to reach for a weapon, he simply tilted his head. "You won't shoot," Ellis said. "You need me alive." For her. Cole didn't react to the bait. His voice was flat steel. "Alive is optional." Ellis exhaled slowly. "Then let's see what you've learned." He lunged. Not like a fighter, like a surgeon. His hand struck the barrel of Cole's gun, knocking it aside. Cole pivoted, elbow slamming into Ellis's ribs, but Ellis flowed with the hit, twisting, driving a knee toward Cole's abdomen. Cole blocked, shoved, countered with a brutal right hook that connected hard with Ellis's jaw. Ellis stumbled just a fraction, then straightened, touching his lip with a gloved thumb. "Good," he said. "You've stopped holding back." Cole didn't reply. He hit him again. Ellis caught the punch times, caught it times, twisting Cole's arm until bone threatened to snap. Cole surged forward, breaking the lock with sheer weight, shoulder-checking him into a fallen tree. Ellis grunted as bark splintered behind him. Then he smiled again. "You think this is about her," he hissed. "It was always about you." Cole froze for half a breath. Rain masked his expression, but something flickered. Ellis saw it. "I studied you," Ellis whispered. "Mapped you. You were supposed to wear my colors when I was done. My air. My clean face. The one they trusted." Cole's pulse didn't change, but Diesel, overhearing, swore under his breath. Rusty muttered, "What kind of twisted?" Ellis kept talking, voice rising. "That child. She was the test. Breaking her was practice. Perfecting obedience. And when you burned my files, when you ran, you proved your own flaw." Cole's stare turned lethal. "And what flaw is that?" Ellis smiled. "You care." Cole moved before the last syllable finished. He tackled Ellis into the mud, pinning him down. Ellis fought with vicious precision, fingers clawing at Cole's injured shoulder, digging into bruised ribs. Cole slammed Ellis's wrist into the ground until bones popped. Ellis screamed once high and shrill, then spat blood into Cole's face and laughed. "You can't kill me," Ellis rasped. "You're trying to prove you're not me." Cole grabbed Ellis by the throat. "You're wrong." Hannah's voice cut through the chaos. "Cole, stop." Cole froze. Ellis felt it, smiled wider, whispered brokenly, "Weak." Hannah stepped into the clearing rain, plastering her hair to her face, her small shoulders shaking not from fear but fury. "Cole," she said louder now, "don't. He wants you to." Ellis growled. "Don't listen to her," Hannah shouted over him. "He wants to win even if he dies." The words hit like a detonator. Because they were true. Cole released Ellis's throat, not gently but decisively, and stood. Ellis crawled backward, eyes wild, victory slipping from his fingers like wet leaves. "No," Ellis whispered. "No, no, no, don't you dare walk away from this." Cole looked down at him with something colder than hatred. "I'm not killing you," he said softly. "I'm ending you." Diesel stepped forward. Rafe joined him. Rusty reloaded with shaking hands. Ellis looked around, surrounded, cornered, outnumbered, but not defeated. He reached behind his coat. A last weapon, a small detonator, a dead man's switch. Cole saw it too late. Ellis screamed, "I take you with me." Hannah ran, not away. Toward him, she slammed into Ellis's arm, knocking the detonator into the mud. Rafe dove, kicking it aside. Diesel pinned Ellis's shoulders while Rusty jammed a knee between his shoulder blades, wrenching his arms behind him. Ellis thrashed like a trapped animal, spitting, cursing, losing whatever mask he'd worn his whole life. "You don't understand," he screamed. "I built you. I built all of this. You are nothing without me." Cole crouched in front of him, rain dripping off his jaw, voice low, final. "You built your own grave." The handcuffs clicked. Ellis froze, not because of the cuffs, but because of who held them. Hannah. Her voice didn't shake. "You don't own me." Ellis finally broke. The fight drained from his body like blood. He collapsed into the mud, wrists bound, lungs heaving in the rain. The wolves stood together, bloodied, exhausted, unbroken. The storm quieted. Cole lifted his head toward the vanishing thunder. "It's over." But in Hannah's eyes, in the hollow space Ellis left behind, something new began. And that was the part he knew would matter most. Morning found them on the ridge above Red Hollow, where the storm had finally spent itself. The world looked washed raw, wet asphalt, shining like glass pine needles, dripping distant clouds, thinning into pale gold. The wolves stood in a loose line behind Cole as he watched the convoy wind up the mountain road. Not Ellis's men, federal. Real badges this time, clean-marked official windows, rolled down just enough for voices to carry. Diesel muttered, "Think they'll believe a word of this?" Cole didn't answer. His gaze stayed on the lead vehicle, where two agents stepped out, one older, one young, neither reaching for their weapons. Behind him, Hannah shifted closer, her small hand gripping the back of Cole's jacket. Not afraid, just steadying herself. The older agent approached first. "You," Mercer. Cole nodded. "We got your message," the agent said. "Encrypted. Time-stamped. Chain of custody verified." He lifted a tablet. "The files you uploaded, the recordings, the ledger, the mirror room IDs. We've been trying to nail this guy for years." Rusty blinked. "You're telling me the feds are late to their own party?" The young agent cracked a brief smile. "We didn't know he'd escalated to this." His eyes flicked toward Hannah. "Or that he targeted a child." Hannah didn't lower her gaze. "He did worse." The older agent swallowed hard. "I read the transcripts." Cole shifted tone, steady. "You take him into custody." "Already done. He's in the truck. We'll transport him to Baton Rouge. Secure facility. No sheriff. No back channels." Diesel let out a slow breath. "And us." The young agent opened a folder, paper, not digital. Hand signed. "Your records are clear. No warrants, no charges. The state's calling it an assisted extraction of a minor in immediate danger." Rusty snorted. "That's one hell of a euphemism for a war." The agent didn't disagree. Cole looked past them to the armored van where Ellis sat shackled inside. He didn't move, didn't shout, didn't look out the window. He was small now, smaller than the rain had ever made him. Hannah stared too, but without the shaking, without the fear. Her voice was quiet. "Is he going to hurt anybody ever again?" The older agent shook his head. "No, that ends today." Hannah nodded once. Slow, certain. Cole rested a hand lightly on her shoulder. "You did that." She didn't smile. Not exactly. A breath left her chest like she'd been holding it her whole life. The agents turned back to their vehicles. "We'll take it from here." Cole didn't move until the engines started, until the convoy rolled away, dust rising in a thin line behind them, until Ellis disappeared down the road like a stain finally lifted. Only then did Cole turn to the wolves. Rafe had bandaged Diesel's side tighter. Rusty leaned on his bike cigarette unlit between his teeth. "Well," Rusty said, "that's one for the books." Diesel groaned. "We say that every damn time." Hannah stepped forward, looking between them, eyes bright in the new Sunday. "So, what happens now?" The wolves traded looks, men who had never planned further than the next ride, the next fight, the next mistake. The silence stretched until Cole crouched in front of her. "You're safe," he said. "That's what matters." She nodded. But safe where Cole opened his mouth, but Diesel beat him to it. "With us," he said simply. "For as long as you want," Rusty added. "We ain't the best at bedtime stories, but we don't lose kids." Rafe flicked the ashes off his unlit cigarette. "And we know a good school 2 towns over. Small. Quiet." Hannah blinked. "I can go to school, you can do anything," Cole said. Something loosened in her shoulders. Something old, something tight. The kind of tension that no child should ever carry. Rusty exhaled. "Guess we're parents now." Diesel elbowed him. "Try guardians. Less pressure." Cole stood. The sun edged over the trees, casting long shadows behind them. The storm washed away, leaving only light. "We ride," he said. But the way he said it was different now. Softer, steadier, like the road wasn't running from something anymore, but running times toward times something. Hannah climbed onto the back of Cole's bike, hands finding familiar places on his jacket. The wolves mounted theirs slowly, engines coughing to life one by one. As they pulled onto the open highway, the girl's voice drifted through the wind. "Cole, yeah, this time, can we ride somewhere bright?" He met Diesel's eyes in the mirror, Rafe's, Rusty's. And for the first time in a long time, Cole smiled. "Yeah," he said. "We can." They rode south, cutting through the last trace of storm engines, humming like a promise written in steel and wind. Miles unrolled beneath them, clear, simple, open. Behind them, the world that tried to break them faded into distance. Ahead, the road waited. And for the first time, it didn't feel like running. In the end, this story reminds us of a truth many grown Americans have learned the hard way. Time's real danger doesn't always roar. It often whispers, manipulates, and hides behind respectability, asterisk. And sometimes the bravest thing a person can do isn't to fight back with fists, but to break the silence that was designed to keep them small. Hannah's journey shows that healing often begins with one simple conviction. Times, you don't own me, asterisk. It's a reminder that no matter your age, your past, or your scars, you're never too late to reclaim your voice, your dignity, or your right to safety. Cole and the Wolves also teach a quiet lesson adults understand deeply. People can change their story mid-stride. Even after mistakes, guilt, or years, Walking the wrong road, a person can choose courage over comfort, truth over convenience. As the old saying goes, asterisk, asterisk, it's not the load that breaks you, it's how you carry it. Asterisk, asterisk. And sometimes carrying it with others is what keeps us standing. This story invites us to look closer at the quiet injustices around us, the ones hidden in families, institutions, and in the shadows of people who smile while they harm. And it gently challenges us to be the kind of person who shows up, who listens, and who refuses to turn away when someone needs protecting. Because justice isn't always loud. Sometimes it's simply staying, believing, or saying enough. If this story stirred something in you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your reflections or your own experiences with courage, kindness, and respect. Leave a like if you found value here, and subscribe so you won't miss the next story filled with grit, heart, and hard-earned wisdom. Wishing you calm after every storm and the quiet strength to walk your own road with dignity and hope.